Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Wednesday's Talking Town. It's Hump Day. We are here together to discuss the mad, the bad, the terrifying world of Ipswich Town Football Club. It is, of course, the 4th of January. No signings as of yet. Plymouth have made, is it 3 or 4? I think someone messaged me to tell me. But it's still only the 4th. It is still only early days. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings towards the world of football and Ipswich Town in the live chat. I'm, of course, the Gov, and I'm looking forward to the next hour and a bit. And I have been told already it must be an hour and a bit because there are apparently washing to be hung out. So I've already had my orders from last time where we went on for 5-hour omnibus. It was great. Oh, there you go, Graham. Plymouth have made 3 signs already in the January window, all looking very promising with lots of potential. We did start tonight's show with a goal of the month, one of 2 this evening. That was the September goal of the month from Trimley Red Devils. Live poll is in operation, so please do vote on it. If you want to jump back and watch it, it's at the start of the show. It's the only way I can start on time, let's be brutally honest. But yes, that's September. October coming towards the back end of the show, and then we'll do November another time. I might have forgotten to do it. Shh, don't tell anybody. Colin Plum, we are more than capable of going on a 10, 12. Are we? Have you seen that? Robert Grimsey, when's the book launch, Colin? Absolutely. When is the book launch? We all want to know. Ben Hobbs is here. Phil Blundell's in the room. Welcome in, Phil. Rob, Robert Grimsey, all wonderful people. Many, many more of you. Get your comments flying in. And we'll kick things off with a man I know saw the goal of the month, so we can get his opinion on it because he was waiting. Looking dapper is, of course, the cruncher, Richard Moss.
You're talking utter Kim.
Hello, mate.
I did think the weather in Trimley. I thought, bloody hell, for December, it's looking good down there.
The pit's looking great for December.
What a crowd! You've obviously forgot, haven't you? If you're in September, we're actually just ticked into January.
You remember? It's about when you do it.
Dreadful defending. I'd have probably gone for the header. Towering header from the corner.
Yeah, I think October's got some good ones coming up from memory. But September was a bit of a goal spurge, but not really a goal of the month standout. You know, there's a couple that could be. One right at the end is a keeping error for me. But you know, you've got to take the opportunity when it arrives. Still, we know that we're Town. Let's be honest. Have you voted on Town's goal of the month competition?
No. Is it
you
live?
Haven't.
Is it live?
It went live this afternoon. Yeah. Well, so I saw. December's goal of the month. It was.
Who
yeah.
have you got in there?
Oh, I'd have to look because I don't bother voting on such things. I find it all nonsense, as you know, Rich. I don't look back, so I don't bother.
Any content we want to see from admin at Town is a signing, isn't it? We're not really worried at the minute about goal of the months and player of the months
or upgrades. You know.
Well, I see that the turnstiles have been. That's been approved for the Alf Ramsey. The pitch, a little bit longer. Yeah. They're going to move it a little bit closer to your side, I think. A little bit to the Cobbold. The dugouts will be more aligned. I think the halfway line will be sort of bang in the middle. But yeah, look, that is all well and good. We've said this before, but get us out this league. Get us out this league.
Out of this league. Exactly right. Plymouth have made a couple of signings. A couple of people in the chat are saying, Chris Mummer, for example, his signs are looking handy. Any comparison?
Yeah, they signed the lad, the New Zealand, and they signed the lad today from Blackpool, haven't they? Who
played at Cheltenham last year? Yeah, 9 goals.
He was at Leicester, and then Blackpool signed him. What was it? 9 goals, Martin, at Cheltenham.
Yeah, and 5 assists last year.
Yeah, so look decent. Look, they're making moves. I'm sure Town have got some irons in the fire. I think one's, if I'm honest, one's quite close from what I've heard. Jack Taylor, for everyone out there watching and listening. And I spoke to Darren Curry, and he said, obviously, when we had him on, I think we had him on one of the watch-alongs, didn't we?
And he said it on the watch-along as well.
He said he offered him to Town, didn't he, when he was manager at Barnet, and we turned him down because that was obviously under the different regime. But he said it's a no-brainer. And for me, I said in the summer I'd sign him. I think on the Discord earlier, I've not listened to it because I didn't think there was one today. Darren's actually said on the pod, on the Hard Truth pod, that they've got to sell somebody in January. I think that'll be him.
Well, there we go. Obviously, they've had managerial change today. Well, I say managerial change.
I mean, what does everybody make of that?
everyone move on the table one space.
I mean, fourth time.
Fourth
Darren
time.
Ferguson. I mean,
it's laughable at this point, isn't it? Really,
it's quite funny when I see that. I wasn't surprised that McCann was going. He's been there twice, hasn't he? He's been there, and then obviously Ferguson actually was quite critical of Darren and that, and when he went, and obviously they've patched that up, and he's there till the summer. But
what I want to know is, how does it work in terms of compo and contracts? Like, does the old bloke just get his contract back? Like, if we sacked McKenna and put Lambert back in charge, would Lambert have his 1 year left to run? Would it just?
Has he still got a year left?
Yeah, would it just like sort of transfer over? You know what I mean? But
I don't know. They can do what they want. We want to talk about Town, and if we get Jack Taylor from Peterborough, all well and good, because I think he's a good player.
We're going to talk about him in a second, exactly. But let's complete the lineup with the man who was meant to be here all along. He's always available for selection. It's, of course, the Media Mogul.
We've just lost the teenagers. It's absolutely embarrassing.
Matt Phillips. Did I just say that?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Available selection. Yeah, right. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year, everyone.
Welcome, Happy New Year. Welcome to Wednesday nights. It's nice of you to finally join us. And nice of you to finally know there's a show on a Wednesday night you can partake in. But
well, it doesn't seem like a normal Wednesday, does it, Matt? Because we're still a little bit.
I'm a big fan of that period between Christmas and New Year's when you don't know what the day is and all that kind of thing. I'd imagine that's what it's like to be a millionaire. You just don't care, do you? Just watching telly and all that kind of good stuff.
I didn't know what the day was, but I could tell you how many points we took. 2. From a possible 6.
Well, you've not mentioned that at all on WhatsApp, have you?
Don't start me. I'm only
this is the man who didn't like voice notes. Now he's leaving voice notes about 2 minutes long and saying, I even think I might ring somebody, you said the other day, didn't he, Matt?
That was a particularly good day for me. I must have got my regular dose.
Anyway, we're getting ready, aren't we? This time next week, the bags will be packed.
Gearing up to play Plymouth. Yeah.
The bags will be packed. I want to thank everybody who's done. We're going to have a little presentation for you at the statue for the Plymouth game. We've raised some cash already, and if anybody in the chat hasn't donated and wants to donate, get in touch, because that man up there and his lovely wife, they're going to be parents again, and every little else. So, whoever's donated, I really, really appreciate it. And I know Martin does. You know,
absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
What we've got through this show, that what you created, started obviously at COVID, Martin, the community, and I just find it really, really good and really touching.
Yeah, and I do as well. And I mean that from my heart. Everything we do is a community-based led, and everything we do is only because of all of us. And by the way, great news this evening in regards to little Benny Moore. I'm so happy for him. I'll let him share whatever news that he wants to share in the chat if he's watching. But yeah, I'm very happy. That's the community again coming and rallying around each other. But yeah, I am a little. I mean, when you say let's have a baby, that's like 9 months ago. Like suddenly it's here. In that shirt on the Lincoln game. You did.
Yeah, Matt,
you didn't win.
I didn't see it. I was having one of me. I was having one of my traditional lie downs at full time, so I didn't see that show.
But no, it was really comfortable, really nice, and I probably overestimated the size of it because I was wearing it under a jumper and it was still a little bit baggy, which is good because I will put the weight back on, no doubt about it. But listen, well, yeah, it is. You crash start to lose it, and then you can put it back on, and then you can crash start take it off again. You know, it's fine. Okay. Cool yo-yo diet, isn't it?
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a number of players on the transfer tracker to mention this evening. You mentioned at the start of the show, Jack Taylor.
Yeah.
ITK 13% crunch says it's nearly complete. Who really knows?
I've only shared with you. I shared with you guys this morning on the Discord what I've been sent. And people have been talking. Someone who I know is friends with a player who plays in this league. I'm not telling you who he is. You might be able to gather. He's mates with him. He's had a message from him. So, listen, we've just got to keep your fingers crossed and, keep guessing. Keep guessing.
I will keep guessing throughout the next 60 minutes. But, so, okay, let's live in the world of he's coming in. Oh, €10 from David. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that. Write that down. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Ben Moore is watching, and the news is returning home to do his treatment at Ipswich Hospital. He needs to be out of next week for a blood check. That's great news, Ben. We love it. So yeah, Jack Taylor coming in, possibly coming in. You know, but if you're speaking to existence, it will happen. So Jack Taylor coming in. Is it a formation change? Is it who's dropping to the bench? Because it's going to be a fee, whichever the fee turns itself out to be. What's the situation going to be in play? Matt, what's your opinion? What's your take on it?
Yeah, interesting one, isn't it? We were chewing the fat over this on WhatsApp earlier, weren't you? Someone's got to be leaving, surely. We can't have all this. So you've got another central midfielder coming in. So you've got Morsey, Evans,
Taylor, possibly.
Taylor, Cameron.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on the sidelines, Kamara and Ball.
So in the summer, they might need to be moved on, but not now.
I don't know. I don't know.
Medical now.
I don't know. I mean, look, yeah, absolutely. I floated the fact that maybe we could have had a bid for Lee Evans potentially. I don't know. It just seems a lot of players to be. I mean, look, maybe you need that if we do get promoted. If we get promoted, that's, you know, you do need the squad of players, don't you? But that is a lot of central midfielders. And you could even. Where was Luongo? Is that not happening now?
Massive.
I think I reckon he's the one that if you didn't get Taylor, Matt, I think we'd probably sign him.
He was going to.
I think he's the backup, isn't he?
He would have been the backup option, yeah. So, yeah, great news, because obviously a great player. As you guys were saying earlier, Darren Curry offered him to town when he was at Barnet, and they said, no, no, we don't need that guy.
Something certainly happened. He's not very in town, is he? So,
what would it have cost? Some dinner mats and some tracksuits?
Well, it was $500,000, wasn't it, for Barnet that Posh spent, rising to $1 million. So
it cost what? So we're told $3 million. So what is that going to divvy itself up? So what? 2 up front, $1 million on promotion? Or wherever it might be, or appearances.
I'd say a couple of million, I think. And then
you see that you ain't spending that type of change, Rich, for a bloke to come and sit on a 6x4, is he?
Oh, no,
he's not going to come and sit on the bench.
Yeah. Well, obviously we've coveted him. I said to you guys about when we played Peterborough, and Pert and Kieran were talking to him after the game in quite a deep conversation. So look, they obviously rate him. I think I think he'd fit in. You need these going into the second half of the season. We do need these options, Matt, because Lee Evans, look, he's had 2 injuries. He got injured last season, and then he's had an injury this season. So, you know, we've got a lot of games to play. So I think, would it be 4-3-3? I know Mike D likes 3 in midfield. I don't know. Would you see Kieran changing it up? I don't really see that myself.
Unlikely, I think. Change up tactics in the middle of a match. Like before.
I think, look, at the end of the day, whatever happens in the summer, Matt, will happen in the summer. You know, we can look at that then. But it's like here and now that we need these players to come in. We need them to be quality, better than probably what we've got, and we need them to make that difference. We've said it before. You know, we are needing reinforcements, not like you say, of these players. Who's the young lad they got linked with from? Is it Crystal Palace? I see.
Yes, he made a hole in the end, didn't he?
Not you. These are the signs that you make at the start of the season, like John Gill do. You can have them for a season, and then they probably, you can, like you say, up and down, aren't they, with form. But now's not the time for that type of signing for me. Now's the time for players who have been playing. This is where Macaulay Bonne, I know we're probably going to touch on him. For me, Bonne's a no-no because he's not been playing any football. You know, I want players match ready. We've got 21 games to go, I think.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's why you can't sort of gamble a little bit in my world, because you've got 3 months. You've got a condensed season. You've got to be at it from the get-go. You can't sort of say, oh, well, let's see how he goes and look again in January, because there is no January. You are in it. This is it. This is the situation. I don't see a formation change. And I'd be worried if we were, because 4-3-3 with a right back that gets a nosebleed when he crosses the halfway line would just be like slamming the brakes on, to be fair. Like you'd end up with more players with defensive duties and attacking, more seeing Evans sitting, Donatian not crossing the halfway line.
That begs the question now. Say Taylor does sign and he's ready for the Plymouth game, wherever it might be, and you've got Morsey now becomes CDM, and you can have Taylor box to box. Where does this leave Evans? Where does this leave Humphreys? As Craig Chapman says there, done brilliant.
Oh, off the bench. Always having an off the bench option. There's no. Why are we in a rush to accelerate Cam's development? He's a young player.
Yeah,
cotton wool him.
Probably because he's played more games than what we was expecting.
And done well.
And he's done well. He scored 2 goals in that period. 3 goals.
Yeah,
He's done brilliantly. And now people could see what he's capable of. And you get a taste for wanting some more of it, don't you? But yeah, absolutely. Everyone forgets. What is he, 18?
I think with him though, Matt, he showed at Lincoln that I think he can play in a number of positions. I don't think he's just played in that midfield. He played a bit further forward, didn't he? Obviously, when Burns went off.
Good
goal.
He did,
Good goal, wasn't it? Good header.
Brilliant goal.
You know,
was his first touch?
About the ball in, though, isn't it?
Yeah, great ball from Chapman. Great ball from Chapman.
Just the
direction.
direction.
Shows you, that's the frustration of that game, wasn't it? Because the depot was on there. He was in one of his plank moments when he like half asleep or whatever. And in Humphreys, with his first touch, blinder. What a goal.
Yeah. I said to you both earlier in the WhatsApp group, it's a really interesting dynamic because leadership is one stat you can't quantify. Like there's no stat for leadership, right?
No.
You can put a number by it, like out of 20, but there's no stat for it. So based on stats, Lee Evans doesn't deserve to get dropped. Like he's got
a good season,
he's got 3 goals, 3 assists, the exact same number as Morsey. In fact, it's probably 1 more assist than Morsey, I think. I'll have to have a look. Morsey's had 0 big chances created. Evans had 5 big chances created. You know, if you're looking at purely the stat numbers, Rich, it's really hard to say.
He's dropping the skipper here.
No. This is it. But because you can't statify the leadership. But then you talk about Morsey, and it's all about leadership. He's the glue that keeps us together. But Jack Taylor, if he rises to the fee, he's not going to come and sit on the bench and play second fiddle. So Morsey surely has to be the enforcer with Taylor as what they call the 8 these days.
Look, Evans has been one of our better players this season. I know he had that spell out, didn't he? But Sam Morsey, when people were saying that he was going to score 10 goals this season, what world do these people live in? Because you only have to look at his career stats, Matt, that 5 goals at Chesterfield. 5 goals is the most he's ever scored. So anyone thinking that he'd get 10 goals, I think I don't see where you think that he will do that. He's not that type of player. He's our best player, and if you're voting for a player of the year at the minute, Sam Morsey for me wins it. You know, but he's not the guy who's going to be scoring the goals, getting ahead of the foot. We haven't had one in that midfield, have we? Since like probably Tommy Miller. Even like David Norris, right? We had Keith Andrews, didn't we? Do you remember that time when he was on loan? I think he scored 9 goals before Christmas.
Yeah, Keith Andrews.
But then the way
we
play at the minute, it's a little bit. They're not box-to-box midfielders, are they? Evans and Morsey. No. So to try and make one of them into like Sam Morsey's what now? Was he 30?
Older, I think.
He is 31.
I feel like he's 32, isn't he? 31.
He's not that box-to-box minute. Look, he's a great player. He's too good for this league. I've said it before, but Jack Taylor coming in, he's different type of player than probably what we've got already. In there. We're probably hoping that Kamara, Matt, was going to be that guy who's going to be in the midfield, who could get beyond and score them goals. But obviously, for reasons that we spoke about before, you know, he's had injuries. So
these injuries have annoyed me. I think we've got to the position now. Now we're 3rd, right? We now need to be a little bit more cutthroat and not be so charitable with our players. As you can say, Martin, the ability, your availability. You know, we don't be lamenting here, sitting 3rd. We're now in the playoffs at the end of the season. You know, I mean, no one gets injured on purpose, do they? But the fact is, Ball and Kamara are going to be no good to us now between now and the end of the season. And that's the real frustration thing. Certainly when we paid a good fee for Kamara, did they take a risk on Kamara? Because we knew he had injuries. Went onto the transfer list at Plymouth because he wouldn't sign the new deal. And their club culture is you go straight onto the transfer list if you don't sign. I don't know. That was a funny one, that. But hopefully this January window is going to address it. I mean, you can only presume Taylor's going to fill the role that they hoped Kamara would have had within the squad, right?
All right. Macaulay Bonne. Contract has been mutually torn up at Queen's Park Rangers. Needed a Louis van Gaal then. People are floating the idea of possibly with him returning to town. There's been nothing credible to sort of link the situation to it.
I've got the poll running.
I've
only been running it a couple of hours, and I've had nearly 1,400 votes, Matt. And it's literally 51% to sign him, 49 to not. So it shows that he's divides the fan base, doesn't he? A lot of people will say, yeah, sign him for what he done before. And then a lot of other people will say, well, yeah, but when McKenna come in, he scored, 1 goal in 30 games. And if McKenna was going to sign him, he probably would have signed him in the summer, wouldn't he? I think that's a step back myself if they sign Macaulay. No disrespect. Look, he's a Town fan. And like I said before, Matt, if you're a romantic, it'd be great if he came in, scores the goals, gets us out of this division.
Yeah.
But I don't think football works like that. And I don't personally see him coming to Town. I don't.
No, I think you probably. I mean, look, I've been a bit of a fan to get him back, but purely just for that PR buzz a little bit. Now, if you sign Jack Taylor, you've got that all, and whoever might follow, you're going to get that, aren't you? But with Bon, you know, he did have that good 2 months where he did get double-figure goals, and then on the flip side of that, like you say, he got one in 30. But he's not match ready either, is he? And we need players that are match ready. Look at the performance we've just thrown in at Lincoln. We need people to hit the ground running because we're outside the top 2 now, which is. You know, I didn't want to see that happen because this squad should be top 2. Now we're 3rd. That don't get you promoted. That gets you in the playoffs. That's not good enough for me, that.
No. Bon, when we had the shows in the summer and you talk about, as we're doing here, the transfer tracker players that are linked, Macaulay Bon was a universal, we do not want this player. I wouldn't say universal, but certainly 98% was we do not want him back. The other 2 were... knows the club, loves the club, fan of the club, all that sort of jazz. Thank you very much, Bob Lockhart, €5. And thank you very much, Chris Palmer, earlier for the £5 donation. Very much appreciated. Thank you. But for me, again, this now that sort of turnaround in the opinion of fans towards Bon is just another piece of evidence that the window in the summer was so poor that if he came in tomorrow, he probably is an upgrade on everyone except Freddie Ladapo. That doesn't mean he's going to be the answer or he is the answer. It just means how bad that window was that I keep talking about.
Football, I don't know what you think, Rich, but I think football just is so moving parts, isn't it? You've probably got a bit of a hit list, right, of who you want. And when Bon was on fire, we all had him at the top. Oh, we must sign him, we'll pay whatever we need to get him.
Millions were being linked.
Yeah. You would all say that we should have signed him in January when it was October time and he got, 11 goals in about 15, 16 games?
Amazing result.
And then fickle, aren't we? Football fans are fickle, Matt, because then you spin it round to the end of the season when he got 1 goal in 30 and everyone's like, no, he's not good enough.
He must have been on that list, of the dashboard list of targets. He would have been in there at some point. And then slowly you start seeing who else is available. Your George Hurst of this world, your Freddie Ladapo's of this world. And Bon starts the 1 in 30. He starts dropping. But then he could rise back up if other targets aren't.
And then if you look at his goals record, when you mentioned George Hurst there, I think he's going to be available again. They were pretty similar guys over the season. And he had a slow start, didn't he, when he was at Portsmouth? So, and if you, I think you said it before, Matt, I think you said it, Martin, as well. If it was the second half of the season and Bon had gone on that run when McKenna came in, we'd have all been saying...
You'd have signed him.
That's how we are.
It was round the wrong way.
His recent memory. Yeah. No, I just think he's an upgrade, Matt. He's an upgrade on what we've got in the room at the moment. But that ain't because what we've got in the room at the moment is particularly good.
You'd have Bon over a Jackson, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
And
I would have done in the summer, probably.
Interesting, Craig, to watch the Old Firm derby this weekend. Roof has only made 3. So I think he's been injured, but I was thinking that as well. He's still a decent player, Keenan. I don't know what age he is, but look, if you're still playing for Rangers in the Scottish Premier League, you can do a job in League One, absolutely.
Talking of strikers, another one obviously linked. Nathan Broadhead is currently at loan at Wigan, was at Sunderland last year. This is the sort of player I've been talking about in terms of sort of production, if you like. 5 goals in the Championship this year. He got 10 in League One last year.
Did he score against Town in that game at Paul?
Yeah, he did. He took it early. Yeah, he took it really early. It was a nice little finish.
McGrill's last game.
Yeah, that's a bit of production. It's not earth-shattering. You're not talking Marcus Stewart numbers or anything, but...
No, he's not even that young, is he? He's 24, 25, I think. So,
but he's playing games as well.
He's playing games, he's scored goals. Are we thinking that his style of play then is going to be what they bought in for a Hadmi in terms of that bigger player, bit of a disruption in the box? That profile, as McKenna likes to call it. I don't think he might be similar to Ladapo. But he's certainly got the goal return in League One. And I think he's got 5 for Wigan this year. But I'm right in thinking he's on loan from Everton, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bloody
Yeah.
hell, you thought he'd have broken in at Everton at 24, wouldn't you? I see they've recalled Ellis Sims from Sunderland.
I think they need to make a bit of money. I was reading today, Matt. They've lost 100 million each of the last 3 years. They've lost.
And they're going to the new ground, aren't they? I think
Well,
Goodison next year's the last year. Goodison.
Could be
So we will be next year, Matt. By the way, they're playing.
we could be meeting them. We could be meeting them in the Championship.
Yeah, imagine.
But I think Broadhead is always Broadhead versus Bond in the sense of I prefer Broadhead to Bond coming in, but it's just a little bit of the piece of the jigsaw, Rich. It's not the piece I'm looking at and thinking that's the piece I'm going to slot straight in and that's the finished bit. We're done. That's a little bit of the jigsaw, but not the full lot.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. We've been bitten. Like I said before about when we had Keith Andrews, we had DJ Campbell. When you're going down this loan route of players, it's like if you look at Wigan and Plymouth and Whittaker, it's that chance that you take when you have these players on loan and then they do well, and then when you get them recalled, Matt, it disrupts your season, doesn't it, a little bit? So look, Broadhead, he's got some good figures. If he came in, I think if we're signing a striker, Martin, you need. I was a bit unfair to him the other day. I put like 2000. I've done a tweet. Marcus Stewart 2000, Freddie Sears 2015. Who will we get in 2023? Now, if you look at Freddie when he came in, I know the team were on a bit of a sort of downer because we obviously went from top and then we just got in the playoffs. I think Freddie got 9 goals, didn't he, Matt? In that from January when he signed from Colchester till the end of the season. I think if we signed a striker now. He came in and scored 9 or 10 goals. I think that'd be a good return.
So everyone's saying that Broadhead isn't a Hadley style. He's 5'11". It's a bit smaller than I thought. But you're right about Sears. Do you remember that game against Birmingham, the 4-2?
Yeah, he got 2 that game.
We shutting him out to the wing. It's crap after that.
But he does score headed goals, so he's no slouch in the air. I think half of his goals at Sunderland were with heads.
I don't think it matters. We don't put enough crosses in the box for someone to score headers anyway.
Well, no,
that's the thing, isn't it? It's all very well these players coming in as strikers, right? You've got to get the service. You've got to get the service.
Man would help, wouldn't it?
What did McCarthy say? Heaven don't stand for Merlin the magician, does it? He ain't going to got magic wand or anything. You've got to give them the service, and that's what we didn't see in Lincoln on the second.
This is where I think a lot of people, the Dapo, look, I think he divides opinion, guys. I said to Colin today, I was talking to him, and I've said before, I think that's a really hard role, that number 9 that you're playing at Town, because you'll see a lot of the time, they hardly touch the ball. If you look at Town, I don't know, you can probably find the stats, Martin, who has the most touches in the game. It'll be the 2 centre-halves for us. They have the most touches of the ball. Our 2 centre-halves.
Or Morsey and Evans passing it between each other.
I went on Suffolk after the Lincoln game, Matt, and I was speaking to Alex Matthew on there, and he said what drives him up the wall is when, and I totally agree with him, we'll have a throw-in an attacking third in the opposition half of the field. What do we do 9 times out of 10 with the ball? We throw it back to the centre-half.
Yeah, go back.
Throwing it into your striker, into his feet, playing off him. We go back. And then we start all over again. And this is why when these teams these teams ain't stupid anymore. They know exactly how Town are playing. Look, it didn't help that they had 10 men the other day. It was more of a game when it was 11v11. But watching that game second half, I said to you on the phone, I think, Matt, no one would have known it was 10 versus 11.
No, it's a damning indictment on Ipswich. We've said here we have problems breaking teams down with 11 men. We couldn't do it with 10 men either.
Thomas Legg. Now, I totally agree with him. I would take Will Keane every day of the week. I think he'd play really well
in the summer.
Yeah.
He was in the summer.
Yeah,
he had one. Well, pardon the pun, Thomas Legg. Keane had one leg here, didn't he? When he was with us, couldn't stay fit, could he?
Different player. I think he scored 9 goals for Wigan this season, Matt.
Yeah, look, he was ahead of the pecking order with Rashford. Got his injury. Rashford overtook him, and the rest is history, isn't it?
He's out of contract into the season at Wigan.
Is he?
He's not agreed a new deal, so you'd probably get him for not much.
He's a Northwest lad, though, isn't he? He's a Northwest lad. Probably
once bitten, twice shy. I'm afraid. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one.
Not floating the boat.
Law debut does his hamstring like he did at Wigan, just sitting on the floor.
Yeah. It would be Town's luck, that, to be fair. Ladapo is underrated, says Craig Chapman, in his opinion, but we need something different to go with it. Underrated.
I wonder, he's underrated. No. I don't think he's underrated. He was half asleep on Monday.
He's everything. He's everything that when you had the Rotherham guy on, that he told us.
Yeah, he was. Certainly on Monday, he was.
Yeah.
Sometimes fans are spot on, aren't they? Yeah.
Hot and cold. He scores that brilliant goal against Charlton. Probably one of our goals of the season.
I don't think we do enough of that, Martin and Matt. I don't think we do enough of that, getting the ball into Freddie's feet on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
I don't think we do enough of it.
But when he did have opportunities on Monday,
he dragged that one wide, didn't he? Wide of the left post. He's got to do a bit better.
That one at Charlton, his goal at Charlton when they get it into his feet. The goal against Portsmouth when he's just on off the bench. Excellent. Those are the ones that it's there. He can score goals. He's just a bit too inconsistent.
And I don't feel like inconsistency is a profile that McKenna particularly wants. But maybe he's just one of those players you're just going to have to deal with it. But when he's on fire, fantastic. When he has a game like he did against Lincoln, might as well have me playing.
But this is why we need someone. This is why we need that extra body up there. Well, one, maybe two. Because we see at Lincoln, Caden Jackson, we've had him for 5 years now, Martin? This is his 5th season at Town.
Yeah.
We know that he can't play that role. And look, he got through, we used his pace for the sending off. But is he going to get you out of this division? Is he going to score enough goals to get you out of this division? No, he's not.
No chance, I'm afraid. No. I've been his biggest support. I've been his biggest fan. No chance.
He's Caden, isn't he? If you think back to the Derby game when he read the back pass from Curtis Davis and that led to the goal. And then he's read the game brilliantly at Lincoln. Too quick. Geezer's been sent off, whether or not you thought that should be a red card or not, it was. So he does offer that something a little bit different. I do think he reads the game really well and he's got the pace to back that up, but he hasn't quite got the goals.
But when did he play his best football? When he played with James Norwood in a 2.
Yeah. Well, we gave him man of the match, play of the year that season, didn't we?
He played well with Norwood.
He did.
The thing is, right, we got rid of Norwood, and look, we had loads of chat on this channel. We've had loads of chat. James Norwood, we had him on. James Norwood, he's better. Look, I'm not saying we should have kept him or anything. James Norwood is better than all the strikers we got at the football club now.
Not all of them. Not better than Ladapo.
Well, I mean, he's maybe more consistent than Ladapo potentially, but
not fit.
But then,
that was why.
Another piece of evidence for the how poor the window was in terms of strikers. You just keep giving me more evidence to suggest just how bad it was. You kept saying graphics with masterclass. Well, I don't think it quite was it really, gentlemen?
No.
It was because James Norwood. You're right. I wouldn't say he's better than Ladapo, but it certainly would be your number 2. Head and shoulders.
That wasn't an Norwood style goal, was it? That was pretty much all Ladapo. But yeah, maybe in and around the 6-yard box was where Norwood was good, wasn't it?
You just need some TC Friday afternoon training with Ladapo. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Bit of TC. Get him back. I mean, surely consultancy is available for TC. He's not doing anything, I don't think, at the moment. So get him in on a Friday afternoon. Can't be that expensive.
Stephen's right. Stephen Bills is right here. We need a proper clinical finish. How many chances have we created on score? Absolutely. You don't need to do much against Ipswich to score, do you? I mean, bloody hell, Lincoln, right? I was sitting there thinking, right, they're down to 10 men. What's their opportunity? They've got Hopper up front on his own. What's their opportunity of scoring? A set piece. What do we go and do? Give away a corner that leads to the penalty. I mean, we could still be there now trying to score a goal that way. Joke.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Mark Dowling, League One players are getting consistent. Just a fact. Consistency is the key, and we need 7 out of our 11 to be consistently good every game.
I don't think we've got typical League One players. We keep saying it. Chaplin's not typical League One. Morsley's not typical League One. Richard Morgan's not typical League One. Oxford players you saw on Boxing Day are typical League One players. Hence, they went on an unbeaten run for 10 games and get a good showing at our place. We should be better than that, I think. I don't keep saying we're League One for a reason. We've got much better players than what League One have. In a typical league.
All these leagues, it don't matter. That to me, we've been arrogant thinking we've got better players. We should just walk this division.
We play fantasy football.
Football doesn't work like that. We've all just sat on here and bemoaned the transfer window we've had, and now we're saying that we've got better players than everyone else. So
because you didn't fucking spend any money in the right end of the pitch. Like, look at the strikers you got. There were 3 transfers apart from Kane Jackson, who was spent. That was £2 million 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 years ago.
We can all question McKenna's tactics and maybe he should change things up, but really it boils down to what he was given in the window.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the ingredients he's got to bake the cake. Just not great.
I would question McKenna's tactics because what's the definition of man? He's doing the same thing over and over again. 600 passes, 1-1. Lincoln,
you change it. Then. All right.
Passes.
You the bench is there. You change it. Give me your best.
You don't like
Alex Ferguson.
You never like
inspired changes. No, because the fucking bench is atrocious. I'm sorry, it is. It's nothing.
He changed it the other day. Cameron Humphreys come on and scored a goal. So
boom.
That's made a difference.
But the fact is, we're still consistently doing 600 passes, not winning games.
It's that bad.
Lincoln's played 68 passes. I think one with us with 10 men.
Look, I think we do have to sort of take into account over Christmas. They have had a lot of illness down there. I don't want to use it as an excuse, but that is a fact. It is a fact. You know, like our left back it showed the massive drop off. Greg Lee's a good player.
Yeah,
it showed the massive drop off when he played and Leif Davis didn't play at Lincoln, didn't it, man?
Arguably, he should have had a penalty himself, Greg Lee, in all honesty. If they were giving that one at the corner.
Yeah, they weren't, were they? That's the thing.
But yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Leif Davis is different gravy. Well, he gives you the threat from corners. We didn't look like scoring from corners this time, did we?
Well, we did.
No.
We had one straight off the training ground that we should have scored when Sam Morsey took it.
Oh, right. Yeah. With Evans.
He should have scored there. Great chance.
Yeah. Well, the fact he went wide is the reason. Well, the fact he got it through those players is the reason it went wide, I think. This wasn't on target, was it?
Who was that, sorry?
Evans. On the edge of the box. Remember the corner come over?
Yes, I do remember. Yes, I do. See, we're not getting enough goals from those two, to be fair. That's another,
That's not their role, Gov, though, is it? Really? It's when you look at them.
No, but I'd like 5.
What's their career goals combined? What's their goals combined? Career goals, Sam Morsey and Lee Evans.
Oh, that's a great question. Somebody else can look that up. That would be
Would it be 50, Matt, combined?
You don't get enough goals from the centre halves. If you think back to Chambers, Berra, Tommy Smith, I always used to think one of those 3 was going to score under McCarthy.
Wolfenden should have scored. That bar is still rattling. It's still rattling.
I do like how what was it? Reg on the co-coms goes, he's hit it too well. How can he hit a ball too well for crying out loud?
He did actually. He smashed it, didn't he?
Yeah, you need a slight scuff from the tongue of the boot there, didn't you? 2 names left. I'll start with one of the W's because it's been mentioned a couple of times in the chat. Connor Wickham.
Nah, he's not good enough for Forest Green for crying out loud. They're bottom of the table.
He was. His contract's run out.
Well, did they want to keep him?
Well, I think he can probably get a better deal. I think he can get a better deal. He's proved that he can score goals. I think he's got 9, hasn't he?
I saw Connor play for England under 16s like when he was 15 years old, and they're like massive unit. I feel sorry for him. He looked like someone who was really going to go on. And what did he leave town for? 8 mil? When he went to where did he go to?
Steve Bruce to Sunderland.
Sunderland, didn't he? He still scored one of the best goals I've ever seen at Bourne Road. That run against Sheffield United.
There you go, Mike D. Bang on, went on 50.
Yeah,
24,
but by January, having both played a number of games, you'd like one of them to be on 5 by now. Particularly maybe your 8, which is Morsey at this point. But you'd like one of them on 5.
I agree. Yeah,
only 2 more goals, but it could be 2 more.
Why would we expect Sam Morsey to get more than 5 goals? That's the most he's ever scored. This is what I'm saying. You're trying to turn him into something.
He's in a different position now, Rich, because you're referencing these positions where he played the holding role. He's been much more forward for Town, hasn't he? Arguably, he could have had 5 goals. He's been a little bit unlucky in some of his chances. Yeah,
well, you're trying to make today a silk purse out of a sow's ear. You're trying to turn him into something that he isn't. That isn't his game. That isn't
the football club have tried that, Rich. I haven't. I would have led him as the enforcer, kicking people and winning the ball back.
Yeah, I agree with that. Stay in your lane. Yeah.
But they saw something evidently, and
Wickham didn't get a deal with MK, did he? He's not continued his deal with Forest Green. He scored that worldie, didn't he, in the FA Cup? I mean, who's going to come in for him now, do you think?
Someone will take him to the end of the season, wouldn't they?
I hope so, because like I say, he provides some great moments for Town. He's someone who come through our academy, looks a great player. So I hope he does all right. I mean, look, he fills a profile, right? Would you rather have Connor Wickham or would you rather have had me? I'd probably take Connor Wickham if you'd.
Well, yeah. But again, that ain't because Wickham's the answer. It's just because
because it had me, isn't
a bit better than had me.
yeah.
So more
We'll
evidence.
see him
Chalk it up.
Saturday. We'll see him Saturday, I bet you.
We certainly will. And the last W, Whittaker, Plymouth loan recall, 1.2 to 1.5. I've seen floated, not where we're paying it, but I've seen floated as in what Swansea want.
They still owe us cash, don't they, for the Flynn Downs?
2.5, I think I read somewhere. I can't think where I read it, but somewhere I read 2.5.
It's obvious that he's been recalled to be sold, isn't it? Not to play games. I feel really sorry for Plymouth. And I'm saying this as someone who has a rivalry with them in terms of getting promoted, because, as you said, Mike, that is a team that has punished above its weight, has beaten, is ahead of us and Sheffield Wednesday, who've got much bigger wage bills, much bigger resources, much bigger stadiums, much bigger fan base, blah, 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 much bigger everything. And then they've lost a player through no fault of their own because of the loan system, which, as you said, Mike, before, and Beep said it on the Discord, that's the risk you take with loans, isn't it? So I do feel sorry for them because, we're kind of celebrating a little bit, big Ipswich, because little Plymouth have lost their pivotal player. But that's football for you, isn't it? I do feel sorry for them a little bit.
But I think people who think that they're just going to have a drop off just because he's gone, I think.
No, why should they?
I don't think they will.
Someone else. When's that Finn Azaz back? He's their main player, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still injured, isn't he?
After us, he's back, but he's not back for our game. So he's
their real pivot. So Whittaker basically stepped in for him, didn't he? But I still hope they get promoted with us because I think they've had a great season. I mean, bloody hell, 50 points to the halfway mark. Unbelievable return for a team, with a rookie manager as well. Schumacher's still a rookie manager, remember? He's only a little bit more experienced than McKenna. Albeit he was number 2 to what's his face? Who was the lad who went to Preston? Who was the manager down there?
Ryan Lowe.
Yeah, Lowe, that was it. Yeah.
I've written down 4 names: Alan Mahan, Fraser, Lawrence, Selena. All players that we enjoyed, but when the loan deal ends, the loan deal ends. And
loan deal ends. It's harsh, isn't it? But that's what we always said. We get attached to loan players, didn't we?
We only had for 6 games, didn't we? 6 games,
electric, wasn't he? Wasn't he good?
Great.
Wasn't he good?
Career, didn't he? Ireland, Wigan, Burnley. I think he was at.
Everyone you hoped Town would sign, but they wouldn't, or in most cases,
never in a position to sign any of them, were we?
No,
we weren't.
What's his face?
The Santos too says Mike D.
Was Stern John alone? Remember Stern John?
No, I don't think he was. I thought he was brought in January with Healy, wasn't he? It was a double signing.
Was Healy alone? Healy was alone, was he? Was he permanent? I can't believe
Healy.
Yeah.
He was a lone player.
He was coming and going about 800 times, wasn't he, David Healy?
Mark Burke.
Roy Fallon.
Loan of Daryl Murphy we had. How many times did Daryl Murphy was he on loan for Town? 3?
4, wasn't it? 3 or 4. Played left wing, didn't he?
Was Fallon on loan from Plymouth?
Yes, he was. Life comes at you fast.
Now,
yes, it was 3 times, and each time he played left wing.
Yeah, he played in that snow game, didn't he? The snow game.
Fallon. Fucking hell.
That's the loan market, isn't it?
They will miss Whittaker. Don't get me wrong; they are going to miss him. But I think they've got such a team spirit down there. They'll probably find some way of.
They could still re-sign him on loan. I was reading. He could go back there.
It's going to be interesting. He's going to get sold. They need the money.
I don't know if either of you see Russell Martin's interview. He didn't really seem that keen of having him back. He'll come back and he'll be integrated back into the squad, whatever.
Would everyone take him?
I honestly can't see him turning up at Town.
Would you take him though? Would you go for
him? Massively. I would massively. Yeah. But I don't think he will. He was apparently
as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you see his Instagram post that he put out, I think he's gutted because obviously, look, he was enjoying his football. He's scoring goals, Matt. He's playing well. The team are doing well, but it's football, and he'll want to play wherever you. Look, I think if we signed him, I think it'd be after we play Plymouth. I think
it'd be weird.
It'd be really unfair. Say we signed him this week to expect him to go and play again. I think. No, I wouldn't like that myself.
I signed him this week, Rich. I'm paying the bloke's wages. He's getting out on that football pitch and winning me a game of football.
Was Huddersfield for Marcus Stewart his second game?
Didn't he? Scored home debut.
Yeah, the home debut. The first game was Barnsley, right?
5-1 in and then celebrated.
Not enough of that in football these days. Not enough 100%. Of that.
Agree.
Not enough of it. You can time moves on, time heals. He'll
I
miss.
personally think we will be. Look, I've got no evidence for this. I personally think the fact he was linked earlier in the season, I think we will be in the mix for him. The fact that Swansea owe us some cash means we'll probably be linked to him. It's whether or not he wants to come here. It'd be a bit weird for him to want to come to Ipswich, wouldn't it? There'd be other take. Like, what did they say? Lower Championship, higher in League One. Well, we're obviously the higher in League One, I would say.
Who's going to be able to afford him? Town and Sheffield Wednesday,
Not many.
possibly Derby, and then he come from Derby. Not really going to work out.
They can't pay big fees, can they? They've got to.
Sure,
he come from there as well. Yeah, I think they're capped on their salary as well.
There you go.
Probably the front runner for him if he wanted to come. But as you say, it would be a bit weird to go from Plymouth to Ipswich.
Be a big step up, yeah. Dominic
Interesting that he didn't make the 17 players that the East Anglian had got this morning, strikers on the list. Whitaker wasn't in there.
They'd had a call. Don't put him in. Okay.
You're a bastard because I've only just sort of put my head back together after reading 70. So if each team played 2 strikers, right? There's 48 strikers in the division, which means you only left out 31.
Let's have a look who else is out there available.
We
haven't touched on Collins from Bristol Rovers. What are your thoughts on him?
No, we.
Isn't he this season's what's his face? Telford, Dom Telford, who's got 2 goals.
He's on fire. He's on fire. Look, he's top of the goals and assists. He would probably be. I think it was someone saying on Twitter, Matt. He's probably more of a summer signing. Someone like him. I think you'd struggle to get someone like him in January.
Again, look, we've been burnt with Pigott. It's Pigott syndrome. You're good at a small club. Are you going to do it at town in front of 30,000 people? No one knows until you sign. I don't know. It sounds a bit of a risk to me, that one. I suppose all signings are a risk at the end of the day, aren't they? Are you actually going to? Because look, Pigott had. We've said it 100 times before. Pigott had all the stats you wanted. Rich was excited about him. 25 goals. Perfect.
He was on that list as well. He was the 17th player, Gov. Joe Pigott. Pompey cancelled the loan. We can't recall him, but they could cancel the loan.
I'm still on number 8, so I've not quite got to the heady heights of the 12, 13, 14.
He come with all the stats, all the goals, done great. Wimbledon comes to town, crap, useless.
Not. We had one good year.
Did he? What, 2 goals?
I meant with Wimbledon, not with Town.
Yeah. So I was going to say, what, 2 goals at Town? One was no goal, 1 was
2 goals is 2 more than.
Yeah, you've got. If you could come to Ipswich and show you've got something about you, you've got to have like a Connor Chaplin style career, I think, and show you've done it at various clubs at different levels. It's not enough now to say he scored 25 goals and they won. Get him in.
Because the best one says Colin. Colin, the link's coming for you in just a second. We're going to welcome Colin in a moment to talk about obviously Pele, greatest football player of all time, some memories and thoughts there. Didn't quite get the chance to.
Hang on. You said you got hang some washing up.
Yeah, I have. It's all right.
Well, Colin will be on.
I can go.
Did you know Pele's made the shed, Matt?
I did. I've seen the picture.
Did you know who he's replaced in the shed?
I do. Colin's told me. Yeah.
No, he didn't tell me that. I didn't ask. But
think of a free kick that's still orbiting over Portman Road right now.
No, it wasn't him.
Oh, that's what he told me it was.
No, the same name.
Why was Guion Edwards in the shed?
No, it's the same name. Not Guion Edwards, Kyle Edwards.
Oh.
I've got. Colin told me it was. He'll confirm. He told me it was Guion.
Well, I'll be surprised if it was Guion.
Either way, I'm a bit worried about the criteria for making the shed, because one was a flick against Blackburn and then never again, and Kyle Edwards outside of Cambridge has done sweet FA. So
I'm pretty certain it's Guion, but Colin can tell us.
What criteria has he got for this shed? Right. Is it just a good picture in the East Anglian Daily Times? Oh, I like that one. Bang, wash it up. Why not? It's his shed. Do what you want with it, but. Nah, needs stricter parameters. Hopefully the dashboard's a bit more tighter.
Living just down the road.
I think I want to now. I've got Queen Edwards on the bloody wall.
It's good. Nice.
Shocking.
Nice drink in there. It's good. Good the shed.
Yeah, but what's he serving up in there? I mean, it sounds like a sloppy, operation here. Queen Edwards on the wall. It doesn't
There's
sound.
a lot of pictures in there, to be fair. There's hundreds of pictures in there.
They should be saying Cole Skuse and Luke Chambers on the wall. So just,
I think they are.
They are.
I know they are. I've seen the picture before. I knew. Right, Colin, the link's in the chat for you. So Rotherham in the FA Cup. Is the FA Cup important? I'm not going to really ask you for your sort of 1 to 11 because we all know it. But
I'm looking forward to going to the game, see everybody. Are you coming to that game, Martin?
I probably will be coming to it. Yeah.
Did you know it's on ESPN Plus?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I fucking won't be now. No. Hey, I need to be space.
What's this?
It's on ESPN Plus.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Why are they showing that in America, for crying out loud? I'm looking forward to going. I've not been for a while, so looking forward to seeing everybody.
Just rewind that back for those at home, because when he hears that, look in his eyes when he goes,
Hey, I've got my ticket. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going.
I'm really looking forward to the Plymouth game, but I'm looking forward to seeing everyone for a while. Well, do come, because I've got all those items for your young son.
Oh, you have. You're right. Where are you sitting? Obviously, the Magnus stand, but whereabouts in there?
I think we're
Block I. It's a Talking Town takeover. Matt Stannard's been on the tickets.
Matt is also
on the front row. Been on the front row, guys. Got a nice bit of leg room there.
Matt Stannard, another pivotal member of our Talking Town community. Absolutely.
I can get in J. I saw that earlier, but not I. I's already sold out.
Get yourself down there for a 10 spot.
I'll just check the ESPN Plus source, and then
12,000 tickets already, Matt, which is decent. I thought
it really is.
Yeah, it's quite good.
I'm hoping if I wait long enough, they might open up the top of the cobble stand.
Yeah. You're going with the Rotherham fans. They'll be in the cobble.
Sit downstairs. You can sit in the Portman Terrace, Cobble Terrace.
Get wet.
Well, I don't know what the weather's doing Saturday.
God, don't get wet.
I'm having to drive Saturday because there's no trains, is there?
Is there not?
No.
Striking again.
Hence the reason why I thought I'd bring all those things for us.
Craig from Portsmouth. We are in Block I. See you there, Craig.
Oh, Craig's in too. It's a takeover. Like Mike says, it's a takeover. It's a big road.
It is. So is it important, the FA Cup? Are you vitally wanting to progress in it? Is it a game where you'll be happy to watch another 23 side, all intents and purposes, with a couple of seniors?
I think, like we said on the phone, didn't we, Rich? When the draw was made, we were quite looking forward to it, because then you could see if we keep. I keep saying Ipswich is more than what a League One club is. It sits somewhere between Championship and League One. It would have been a really good test. But the fact is that Rotherham are down there. We've got a big game against Plymouth. I just think you're probably just going to see two B sides, aren't you? Unfortunately, I just hope it's a good game, a good spectacle, and we'll see where it takes us.
I think if you probably think it's probably a game that both teams could do without now, Matt, if they're being honest. And I've got a funny feeling. I was speaking to Colin today. I think it'd be a draw. That's probably the one result that both teams will want, a draw. Because we don't want to go there on a Tuesday night.
No,
travelling. I'm looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to the game, but it's not a priority, is it? It's like, for me, like Morsey, he wouldn't even be involved. Connor Chaplin wouldn't be involved. Players like that, you've got to wrap them in cotton wool. There's no. We've seen already this season. We had Aluko got injured, and Harness got injured, didn't they, in a cup football that ultimately, look, it's not important. So Saturday's game, look, we all want to win. I get that. We're turning up Saturday. I don't want to go there and see us get rolled over, but
what do you think of the team, Robbie? So what? Haddad King goal, Kane Vincent-Young, Keogh, Fridge, Greg Lee.
Yeah.
Then who we got? Lee Evans, and probably to give him some more game time, and Cameron.
I think Humphreys plays, yeah.
And we've got, who else we thinking? Carl Edwards, Shawnee, who's going to had me up top.
Yeah, you might see, Zanzibar and Chihuahua probably be involved. Albi Armin will probably be on the bench, but still not a bad side they're putting out there. But any sort of first team like Chaplin has to be wrapped in cotton wool, I think, for these type of games. He is probably one of our most important players, Matt. I think it showed on Tuesday at Lincoln. The drop off when you haven't got him in them little spaces. Like, it was a great little pass, and he can get a shot away. Yeah. He plays every single week for me now, Chaplin, between now and the end of the season. I was surprised he didn't play. Okay. I don't know if he'd been one of the ones who've been ill, possibly. But like you say, Go, if they're on the bench, they're fit enough to be on the bench, they should be really starting.
Yeah.
I think he's massive, Chaplin. I think he's massive, and I think he's a really important player. If he fires between now and the end of the season, I could see us making the top two. If he doesn't, he drops off. Because he did have a little period there, Matt, didn't he, when he dropped off, and he went quite a few games without scoring. I think he was back. Was it the Buxton game he got two? then he's gone on a little run since then. But yeah, I don't know.
I still think we will get top two. I'm just a bit pissed that we've got dropped down to third because it's our own fault, as you said, Rich. The only team that's beaten Ipswich is themselves. It's our own fault we've dropped down. But look, how many games is there to go still? 20, what is it, 22, 21?
21.
To go?
It's like you said. It's like you said earlier in the chat about teams do not have to do much to score a goal against Town. Going back to Lincoln, you know, for me, the penalty, I don't know if either of you thought it was a penalty. From where I was standing, he said, I think Cameron Burgess in the interview afterwards, the ref said there was 5 different fouls he could have given. But the one I see was Vincent Young holding him, and you think, you've just been warned. Look, this is what I do agree when people say but if you're doing that, you'd probably give about 5 or 6 penalties a game, which you would.
100%. Yeah, it was a penalty in context to that game, wasn't it? Because you'll see that Saturday, you won't give nothing.
But if you've just been warned, 30 seconds prior to that, the referee says, right, I'm watching, and you know that he's given a red card, and I'm not saying that he's evening things up, but we have seen it in games where you think, oh, he is, isn't he? He'd give a decision when he's given one to the other team. Yeah. Because that game is a game, I think we probably would have won that game 1-0. We'd have probably nicked a goal somewhere. Do your proper job at the back. Don't give anything away, because they weren't going to score a goal. They didn't threaten. They had 2 corners, didn't they? I think in the second half, they were quite happy to get the ball and just blast it into bloody no man's land, weren't they? And we go and get the ball and attack again.
I think post-match, Rich, when you said to me, watch the McKenna interview, that's the first time I've really seen him kind of frustrated and stressed to the point of, because he obviously felt the referee cost us, didn't he? Because he said it's going to take a hell of an effort to get out of this league. Yeah. He was obviously thinking that maybe the match officials were against us. Because look, we barely had a penalty all season, let alone someone pulling a shirt out of corner, which happens all the time.
True. So I don't disagree with him saying that we haven't. But to me, 2 wrongs don't make a right. You know, when we had warned not to do it, don't do it then. Don't give the referee. We've seen in this league, if you give the referees opportunities to make decisions, you're asking for trouble. It's your own fault. It's your own fault. Nobody else to blame apart from ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Take it out of the referee's hands, as it were. Yeah. It is what it is. So
Mine, what I've said before.
Exactly.
We need to
control the controllables. Some FA Cup third round action this Saturday at Portman Road. We may be back on Friday for a show. Depends on the transfers. Unless it's a transfer, I do not believe we will be. But of course, keep your eyes and ears peeled to Talking Town on YouTube for upcoming streams. I put everything on there. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet done so. Become a Talking Town fifth standard by hitting the join button, which is right next door to it, or heading to Ko-Fi. But we made him wait long enough. So let's complete the show this evening with our resident GOAT to talk about the GOAT, which of course is Pele. Colin, welcome in. How are you?
How you doing?
Yeah, hello, Matt. Hello, Rich. Hello, Martin. I've just got to say to you, Martin, first and foremost, I'm really, really, really honoured to do this tonight. Really honoured, and I know the lad backwards. I'll say, you know, just an unbelievable footballer, and I'm going to hopefully do him justice. Obviously, Pele, born in 1940, died 82 years of age. The greatest footballer this world has ever seen. The best left foot I've ever seen, the best right foot I've ever seen. For 5'8", 5'9", the greatest spring I've ever seen. He weren't that tall. He weren't that tall, about 5'9". Greatest spring I've ever seen for a ladder that size. Technically excellent. Technically as good, in my opinion, as Messi, without no shadow of a doubt. And goals scored. His record. I'll get on to everything. I'll just go through this. I have got a little thing here just to make sure I get it exactly right. 1,363 games total, 1,281 goals. Goals per game, 0.94. That is unbelievable at anybody's level. And when you think 92 games for Brazil, 77 goals, equal only by Neymar, but he's played about 120 games. And his goals per game for Brazil, 0.84, which is exceptional at international level. He, for me, will always be the greatest. Obviously, 58, 62, and 70, 3 World Cups. Just amazing stats. And, you know, I mean, it's domestic, you know, for Santos, an absolutely unbelievable side in South America. 702 games, 656 goals, a goal strike rate of 0.94 at the top level in South America. That is unbelievable. And when people say to me, Ronaldo, look, Ronaldo and Messi are great players. You know, he stacks up against them at any time, any month, any year in his lifetime. He has been unbelievable. Right, I'm going to go on now, and I'm sure there'll be viewers on now. I'm going to go on. I'll briefly go over the 1966 World Cup where he came off. I remember going with my dad to see a film called Goal. You might be able to get it up on this YouTube and all your things, you know. I went to the cinema to see this film called Goal. And it weren't long after we'd won the World Cup. We went in the cinema and I couldn't believe it. I said to Dad and my brother, I said, God, I'm watching England in colour. And this film, I always remember it, and they shoot like the teams coming flying into London. And Brazil came, and Pelé came off as little steps and them little planes they used to come on. And everybody was, yeah, brilliant. Oh, Pelé, you know, Pelé. And like myself, I mean, I'm like 13 then, you know, like 13 going on 14, loving me football and all that at school and for the county and all that. And oh, well, I'm watching Pelé. And I always remember, like in the group games, you know, in 66, I won't go over like loads about 66, I won't go on to 70. Obviously, he got kicked left, right, and centre by Portugal of all teams, which, you know, Portugal have always been renowned for their football. And he got kicked left, right, and centre, as we all know, carried off, blah, blah, blah. And that was like such a shame. And everybody thought, you know, would he even like turn up, if you like, for the 70 World Cup? Turn up? Did he? Did he? Oh my God! We got drawn. Look, I'm not even reading. Look, you can see that. Look, we got drawn in the same group as Brazil. Now, England went over to Mexico, trust me, as joint favourites to win that World Cup because, all right, we'd lost the likes of Jack Charlton, Ray Wilson. They'd all gone like just above their, you know, by their sell by that. But we replaced them with like Terry Cooper, Brian LeBone, Alan Mullery came into the squad. And I remember Alf saying, just prior to us going, and we was all singing Back Home and all that, I always remember Alf saying, this squad, because you've got to remember Colin Bell, one of my favourite ever players who never ever played for Town, Colin Bell, Nijinsky, Francis Lee, Alan Clark, Sniffer, who used to play for Leeds United. I'll tell you what, Ramsey said that was the best squad we'd ever had, and that included the 66 squad, the best squad of players. And we went over there, not as favourites, but nigh on, you know. And we got drawn in the same group as Brazil. Unbelievable. Two of the best sides in the world, two of the best squads in the world in the same group. Anyway, in that group, we played Romania first. Alan Clark scored, I remember, that was a penalty. And then Brazil played Czechoslovakia, and then that was that famous game which Rich was waxing lyrical about the other day. One in the first half. It was the first half. I remember because Dad used to let us stay up late because it was midnight at our time. Watch the games out in Guadalajara or wherever it was, and then Pelé, like Rich said quite rightly, bless him, you know. He done a David Beckham and just missed the post. And in the same game in the bloody second half, He done that unbelievable dummy where he sold the goalkeeper, like the goalkeeper's finished in row fucking X, right? and Pele's just gone round him and stroked it in. But funnily enough, we all thought it'd be like the third game, but it was the second game we played Brazil. Of course, everybody was saying, you know, we all thought England and Brazil had qualified. But that was like the game, that was literally like the game of the World Cup that everybody was looking forward to. And obviously, we all know about Banks' save. But I'll tell you what, if you ever watch that game back, England was so unlucky in that game. Jeff Astle missed he come on as a sub, I think. Jeff Astle missed an absolute sitter at 0-0. And we played really, really well that day. We should have beat Brazil. But Brazil, they had this lad called Jairzinho. And he played on the wing, number 7. He was the famous picture where Pele's like, you know, when he scored the final, when he's like, he jumps on Jairzinho. And Jairzinho scored in every game of that World Cup. Every game of that World Cup. And he was on fire. But anyway, they won 1-0. We won our last game against Czechoslovakia 1-0. So they won all 3. We won 2. And we both qualified. And of course, then the rest is history. We went through the quarterfinals, 2-0 up against Germany and threw it away in extra time, lost 3-2. And Brazil played Peru, Cubillas. They had those lovely white shirts with the red stripe across. They were good side, Peru. Brazil beat them 4-2, and then they went through to the semi-final, and Brazil beat Uruguay, and Italy beat Germany West Germany in an unbelievable semi-final, 4-3 after extra time. And they were a really good side. They had a bloke up front called Luigi Riva, fantastic footballer, and a bloke called Bonacenia, who he played up top with. And they were just an unbelievable side, them Italians. Mazzola, must have heard of Mazzola. Mazzola in midfield, good, or hold midfield, great player. But that final, remember it as yesterday. Azteca Stadium, 107,000 in that ground for that final. And of course, Brazil were like, you know, heavily backed, obviously, because of being in South America. But that final, I remember obviously the first. I think it was Rivellino, the famous left foot. He used to score loads of free kicks. Rivellino. I think it was him who put the ball over from the throw in, and Pele got up with that massive header, put them 1-0 up, and then Bonacenia equalised just before half time. But in the second half, just Brazil went up 2-3 gears. And I had a lad in midfield called Gerson. He scored, and God, I got the other goal.
Jairzinho gets it, didn't he, Colin?
Yeah, Jairzinho gets one, and then you get the famous Alberto fourth goal. I've got to say, I have seen thousands and thousands, literally, and thousands of goals in my life watching Ipswich, and especially obviously watching England in World Cups and Euros. I'd arguably say that the build-up and the finish of that goal and the layoff, the assist, as Gub always likes to call it, that assist from Pele was as good as a goal. It laid it just beautiful. It was like sex, you know. It was just like laying it into his path, you know. And then Alberto comes in, and it was just the most sexy goal I think I've ever seen in a World Cup. We've seen some great goals like Jeff Hurst's hat-trick goal and all that, but I think that Alberto goal with the assist from Pele was just about
he knows
the ultimate goal.
The way he lays it off, he knows he's running in from the right, doesn't he?
And I'll tell you,
from Graham Byrne. He's a Plymouth fan. Do you remember when Plymouth played Santos?
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
They demanded more money and didn't come out on the pitch until we agreed to pay them more.
But another thing I'd like to say about that Brazil side, a quirky little fact: Pele used to play up front with a player called Tostão. And Tostao had a he had a really bad injury. Somebody kicked a ball in his face. I can't remember how long before that World Cup, but he had a detached retina, you know. And he played up front with Pelé. I think he played about, I don't know, 60 or 70 international, something like that for Brazil. Scored a lot of goals for Brazil, Tostao. But yeah, he played up front, and they reckon he never really had even perfect eyesight. He was a famous player, but I used to like Rivellino as well in that team. But that was
Colin, I've got a question for you. Thinking back to your childhood, you know, we can watch football from any league now, can't we? Be on Sky, be on satellite TV, whatever. When did you first hear about Pelé? And because you would have seen him at just intervals, wouldn't you? He was probably someone you read about rather than probably watched as a child.
Well, I get that, Matt. Yeah. The first time I'd ever seen or really heard of Pelé, because obviously in the '66 World Cup I was 9/10, and that was really the first I'd ever seen of Pelé. But it weren't really very nice seeing him being kicked about, because he was like, you know, it was the times like when especially the '70 World Cup, you used to collect those coins from Esso. And you used to put them in the holes in a bit of cardboard. And I couldn't wait to get one of, you know, all the ones of England and that. Yeah. And you used to get like all the stickers of that. And a lot, obviously the '70 World Cup, I was like I was born in '57, so I was 13, going on 14. And, you know, I mean, by that stage, I mean, Pelé was, and all everybody's greatest hero. And I'll tell you what, I loved all like how they did the funeral procession and that. It was just so different, wasn't it? You know, in the fire engine and all that. That's how they do things.
You've ever seen that Brazil '70 team?
Best side I've ever seen. Best international side there's ever been. And look, it's difficult. I know what people are thinking. Younger generation are probably thinking, you know, but what about the Dutch side? Now, I'm lucky, Rich, and I'm not a big-headed person. You know that. I'm not a big-headed person. I'm just not. Now, who's the best player I've ever seen? Now, I think I said this the other day. I've seen some good ones. Trust me, I've seen some good ones. I've seen like some of the best French players for Saint Etienne. I've seen some great German players like for Cologne and whatever. But I reckon I've seen some great German players, Gunter Netzer, for example, playing for Real Madrid. He had long hair. He was the '70s. 70s to 80s. I'd say the greatest player I've ever seen is Johan Cruyff, live. Rich asked me a question about, have I watched Pelé live? No, because he never played it. Well, apart from Plymouth, he never played at Wembley. No. That's such a shame that he never ever played at Wembley. Unbelievable. But obviously he would have played at Wembley if Brazil hadn't been kicked out of the '60s, because you know they'd have obviously. Well, actually, thinking about it, they were in the same group as Portugal. So because we heard about what happened, didn't we? And funnily enough, we played Portugal in the semi-final of that World Cup. So arguably, we would have, if it had got through, we'd have probably played Brazil in the semi-final, and Pelé would have played at Wembley. But no, he's like I said about Cruyff. He's the best footballer I think I've ever seen live. And then, because you went to the '74 and the '78 World Cups, Cruyff I'm talking about, arguably at that time the best player in the world. Would I say Cruyff was better than Pelé? No, I wouldn't, because like I show you on the picture, that's why I put it in the shed. He was the king of football, and you know. And I'll tell you something else about him. What really resonates with me. He was such a gentleman. My dad loved him. My dad loved him. Everybody in this country who loved football, played the right way, loved Pelé. My dad absolutely adored Pelé. And also, Gav, while I'm on, I'd just like to say one thing. I'd just like to say the other day so I always like to talk about him, as you know. We lost John Jackson, didn't we, the goalkeeper, and he was obviously celebrated tonight at Crystal Palace. Quite rightly so, 'cause he played a quirky story. He joined us. I remember Bobby signed him. We had a bit of a goalkeeping crisis. We signed him in 81-82, which is a season we finished runners up to Liverpool by 4 points. And Bobby signed him, and he only played, and he was 39/40. He was a great goalkeeper all his life, and he was just desperate. You know, Bobby was desperate, so he signed him, and he played one game for Ipswich, and that was against Man United. I remember that game, that was yesterday. I was up in North Stand, and John Gidman, he played for Villa for a while, scored for United, and Walkie got both for us, because we always beat United in them days. We always beat them. Yeah. And we beat them 2-1, and he had a bloody worldie, you know. Jack's had a world. And I remember Bobby said, all them saves he done today, he made a lot of good saves. He said, I paid you a year's salary for that one game. And he did only play the one game. But, he played 686 appearances in his Football League career, and he only played once for Ipswich. That was 1-0 against Man United, and believe it or not, that was in April. We was chasing the title then, so he must have been really on edge that night, you know. He was a good goalkeeper. He played for Crystal Palace. He played for Millwall. But we'll send all our condolences to his family, and he was a very, very good professional, John Jackson.
I know, Colin, you know, the king of football into the shed. So which Edwards has he replaced?
Guion.
It is Guion, isn't it?
Guion.
Yeah, it was Guion, yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't like to sound disrespectful to any player, but like I quirkily said to you on the text, I must have been drunk to put him in there. But I don't know, you know, sometimes things happen for whatever reason. But I really, when I think I've got people like Maras in there and Terry Butcher and the Beat.
The fisherman says, Colin, ask Colin, has he got Alan Brazil on his own yet in there?
He's on a team photo. Yeah, no. I did promise him I'd do that, and I have forgot. Yeah, tell him. I'll get on that. Yeah, I'll get on that. Don't worry. I've got some programs upstairs. So
there you go.
Yeah. So the last thing I'd like to say is, you know, Pele, the greatest of all time. Just rest in peace, my old friend, because we'll all miss you. And any supporter of football of any sort, you know, we'll all miss him, because he was the greatest, and what an unbelievable fact that his mother's still alive. She's 100 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And his mother couldn't make much of it, apparently, bless her. But
everyone should go and watch Escape to Victory, where Pele rubs shoulders with some of our great players.
Well, just quickly before we go, Colin was talking about Russell Osman was on the telly. Yeah. So Russell's got a signed shirt from Pele, Matt. You know, the shirt from the film, and he's got a signed ball, hasn't he, Colin?
Yeah.
How much
we were just saying, let's throw it out there, Rich. We were playing a little bit of devil's advocate, weren't we? We wonder how much. I mean, he obviously shoe the ball with Pele. You know, that lovely, famous Pele autograph. We've all seen that.
Yeah.
I mean, how much would that ball and shirt be worth now, Matt?
Yeah, now. Yeah.
Go. I'll tell you what. I said to Rich, I think, like the shirt, like Rich quite rightly said, and the ball, But maybe the shirt, I don't know what it'll be. Maybe it'll be about the same. I don't know. But I'll tell you, honestly, I reckon in the next 6 months or a year, that I don't think Russell will ever want to get rid of them, obviously, because they'll be keepsakes. But I reckon you'd probably be looking 200 grand, something like that for them. They raise a lot of money.
Yeah, it's only
Sorry, Matt?
I think it was the only film he ever acted in, and he did all the football choreography, didn't he? Which is why it's so good if you watch it. Because you thought some football films it's a bit stiff, but the
5 weeks they were together. 5 weeks.
Russell actually had a talking part in that.
Yeah,
he actually spoke in it, because a lot of people seem to forget. Laurie Civil was in that. Kevin O'Callaghan was in it.
Yeah,
Walkie was in it. Robin Turner was in it. Because you see, when we talked about those autographs in that book, because me and Rich was talking about the other day, Bobby Moore's autographs on that as well. On that book, Bobby Moore. And I'll tell you what, another thing that I must not forget, and I nearly did forget. I've put the picture of Pele, on top of Giorgino, that famous, you've seen it today, I'll send it to you. But the other photograph was already in my shed, and Rich has seen it, of when they swapped shirts.
Yeah, famous.
That has been in my shed for about 4 or 5 years.
Iconic.
And I think Rich, Matt, and Gov, all my 3 best friends, I think that was the most iconic photograph ever of any English player, ever. Apart from that one when... another thing I got to mention, poor old George Cohen. Poor old George Cohen, God rest his soul. And I'll never forget, we talk about pictures, I'll never forget that picture when he went to swap shirts with the Argentinian. And Alf went over and said, no, you're not swap. And like the sleeve was about 10 foot long, because he was dragging it back, And Alf said, no, he said, no, young man, he said, you don't swap shirts with those animals. And he would not let him give him his England shirt.
Yeah.
That was the famous day in the 66 final the 66 quarter final when Rattan got sent off.
Yeah. It was lively that game.
He called them animals, didn't he?
Colin, it's
great memory.
Great memories, Colin. Fantastic.
Yeah, a real pleasure to listen to you. So thank you ever so much for agreeing to come on and do it.
I love to do it for you, for all 3 of you. I love to do it. I love to do it. My memories, and they're good memories. And I don't know if I said it properly. George Cohen, condolences from all the Taunton Town people, if anybody, to all your family and friends as well. Another one of the greats. I mean, we've only got 2 left, is it now, Matt?
I think so. From the starting 11.
From the starting 11, Bobby Charlton and Jeff Hurst. Yeah. And do you know what? Isn't it ironic? I said this to Andrew the other day. And ironic that arguably, apart from Bobby Moore, our greatest ever player, Bobby Charlton, and the bloke who scored a hat-trick in the final, are the only 2 are still alive. It's quite ironic, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Everyone asking in the comments, Escape to Victory's on the Channel 5 on demand.
My 5, yeah, it is.
Yeah, my 5. Yeah.
You can get it on my 5. I'll be watching that this evening while I'm sleeping on the sofa because I've overrun the show and I'm in trouble again.
Get that watching out.
I know. Colin, we love you and appreciate you.
Colin.
Love you.
The cruncher, Richard Moss. He is the Media
Mogul. The washing. I think it's Mike D said when Colin comes, if you hang the washing up there, it'll be dry by the time he finishes.
I love listening to Colin, particularly when he
great
talks
about brilliant. Great memories. Great memories.
Just phenomenal. Great show. If you've enjoyed it, hit the like button. But we'll catch you all at the weekend for a match day ticket. Pre-game, post-game, join us live. It's Talking Town is what we do.